Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this week's Mental Monday. This week, I want to continue our series on abuse. So if you are triggered by anything like that, if this just would not be something that would be helpful for you to hear about, I am going to be talking about it and using that word. In this case, I'm going to be talking about physical abuse. So I wanted to kind of just give my own little summary and explanation of what physical abuse is before going into too many further details or any more intricate discussion about it. Physical abuse, in a very general term, is a series or pattern of physically harmful behaviors from one partner to another, from one parent to a child, from one sister to a brother, from friend to friend. Physical abuse can pop up in any situation, any relationship, but the difference between somebody was aggressive or physical or violent and physically abusive is there's a series and a pattern of it. There's that pattern established of it. It's not a one-time event. So there needs to be a history in that relationship of that happening for it to be really deemable as physical abuse, in my understanding and opinion, of course. So physical abuse can look like many different things. There are lots of different ways that this can go. There are also lots of commonalities in the patterns that we see in our society for physical abuse. There's obviously hitting, kicking, punching, slapping, throwing someone down, throwing them against something, holding them there, restraining them really strongly. All of that is part of physical abuse, and a pattern of that is what's generally thought of and referred to as domestic violence when we look at that in a relationship between spouses, boyfriend, girlfriend. That is generally what is known as domestic violence and domestic abuse. There are also a lot of other things that come with domestic abuse, and I feel like that's this whole other thing because I feel like domestic abuse is kind of a mixture of all of the different types of abuse there are. But I did want to touch on that just because that is what's generally thought of. Physical abuse is the one that leaves physical scars along with mental scars. So mental abuse, you don't see physical manifestations of it, and that's why mental abuse and manipulation and gaslighting is so difficult and so easy to brush away and say, oh, you're overreacting, you took what they said wrong, they didn't mean it that way, or oh, I was just kidding. Things like that are easy to brush aside. With physical abuse, you're getting people's attention because of the scars and the bruises and the physical evidence that somebody hurt you. Physical abuse is one that does also leave mental scars. You cannot go through that level of trauma, of conflict, of high emotions, of adrenaline rush, and that whole experience without having lasting effects beyond when the physical manifestations are gone. And that is what gets really forgotten. That physical abuse is not just the scars are healed, because it also does leave mental scars as well. And again, physical abuse is all about control. Sometimes it's a repeating pattern, because one of the things that is easily seen in physical abuse that also manifests itself in the others, but is really well seen in physical abuse, is what's called the abuse cycle. It applies to any type of abuse, but this is one that you can really, really see it happening. So what happens is somebody, a partner, will blow up on the other and get physical, get violent. Hit them, kick them, throw them down, throw them against a wall, throw something at them, and physically leave a mark and scar and hurt and scare them. And then after the emotion dies down, after they've calmed down, the honeymoon phase starts. and they're trying to make it better so you don't leave. They're trying to make you think that it's not as bad as you thought. And then everything builds, and all of a sudden something comes up again. And it spends this whole time building and building and building until you get to a climax, and it happens again. And then the cycle starts all over, where afterwards they're back to the honeymoon phase. They're back to trying to make you feel better. They're back to trying to make up for it and saying they're sorry and it won't happen again. And then it happens again because they get angry about something. And then they do it again, and the honeymoon phase starts, and they're trying to make it up again. That is one of the most disturbing and real things that I have ever learned about for me, I think, because that is such a hard reality. That's why they're able to do it over and over and over again. That's why it's easy for a partner to stay. That's why it's easy for a woman to stay when he totally changes and starts to make her feel better, and she thinks, oh, maybe he learned and he's not going to do it again, and he realizes he hurt me. So the things that can pop up after going through that when you've gotten out of a situation is not being able to trust anybody, not knowing who to trust, answering really tough, awkward, shocking questions about what happened when somebody sees scars or bruises when they're still healing. There's PTSD that can happen, just like with every form of abuse, where you can be taken back to that time very, very easily and quickly, and you're scared. There's low self-esteem, there's a loss of self, and you are in the position of needing to start over. Financially, spiritually, mentally, you are in the position of needing to start over and build yourself back up in a lot of ways. And the scars healing are really just the beginning. To end this video, I want to say that I'm going to leave some links and resources down in the description box for if you or someone you might know is in this situation or has just gotten out of this situation and is looking for help. And I also want to read the warning signs. I know this might be triggering. I know this may not be every case. I know just because some of these pop up does not mean it's domestic abuse. But I want to share it because the more people that know the warning signs, the better. So I found an article on WebMD, I will link it below, that lists warning signs from both perspectives. So somebody in the situation and then somebody who knows somebody who might be in the situation. So some of the ones for if you're in the situation, how to attempt to tell if it's going farther than it should, and to kind of tell, yes, it is that bad and I need to do something, and any situation where that goes too far should be addressed. But I think it's important to be able to also be able to tell, is this a pattern? Is something else going on? To try to really determine what's happening and pinpoint the problem. So being in the situation, if your partner bullies, threatens, or controls you by accusing you of an affair, blaming you for what they did if they hurt you, criticizing you all the time, telling you what you should wear and how you should look, and of course, losing their control when they are angry and lashing out, not being able to control their emotions. There's also controlling your money, like keeping cash and credit cards from you, putting you on a strict budget and making you explain everything you spend, and then not wanting you to work and have a job. There's also distancing you from friends and family, isolating you, so you aren't as close to your family as you used to be. You don't see your friends as often as you used to. And then there's the physical events like hitting you, kicking you, punching you, restraining you, things like that. There is sexual abuse within that relationship. And then for these signs of if someone you know might be in that situation, excuses for injuries they have that they are trying to explain to you, their personality changing, like having low self-esteem, when they used to always be super confident and know who they were, constantly checking in with their partner, never having cash on hand or a way to get money, overly worried about the partner getting upset about something. And then that also ties into skipping things like work or school for not a super clear reason. And then wearing clothes that don't fit the weather, like long sleeves in the summer to cover bruises on their arm. I don't say this lightly, and I don't share this information lightly. I don't want to scare anybody. I don't want to be nitpicking situations. And I don't want to put you guys in a position where you do that and think, oh, is that what that is? Oh, that's happening. Oh, what's this? It's not about that. It's about being aware and being informed enough to put things in context. So this can kind of help you learn what kind of questions should I be asking to know. I also am going to link to a website that has a risk assessment on it that was created by one of the hosts of the Real Crime Profile podcast that I love. I love the work that she has done, and I will link it. I have heard so much good things about the work she's doing, and I'm really excited to hear more. So it's a risk assessment. If you answer these questions, if you take it, it'll help you know how at risk you or someone you know actually is, and can really be a good thing to then use when addressing the situation. So I hope this was informative and helpful. I hope I can leave you guys with hope and positivity and good information. If you have any other specific questions or need any other resources, please feel free to comment, and I hope this was helpful. If it was, please give this video a like and share it with everybody. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!